Hello guys, today I'm going to be showing you the performance fix, how to fix the stuttering in Watch Dogs 2, the horrendous, terribly optimized trash port by Ubisoft, otherwise known as Ubisoft in the community, as everyone hates them for their terrible ports. This game literally eats CPUs. Now we'll approach this. First I'll show you how bad it is by approaching as a normal, as an average user using the GeForce experience. You can see optimal settings are same for 1080p, 900p and 720p, showing the same settings. Since I'm on 900p display, I'll be showing it at 900p, approaching it at 900p. Trying the game at 900p. I'll show you how terribly it runs before applying the fix first, and then I'll show you how to apply it, and then maybe a settings guide and some benchmarks, you know, average user stuff. I'm not going to try something pro level like pro YouTuber. I'm not gonna script it out, edit out, put graphs. I'm just gonna show you values, how I get them, how I got them. And you can see I'm obtaining GPU usage and temps, CPU usage and temps using MSI Afterburner. On Ryzen, it shows the CPU temp only on the first core, so on CPU 151C, as you can see on the top right now. Okay, approaching the game at optimal settings. Optimal settings, as in it's supposed to give us 60. Okay. Damn it, I forgot to do that. I don't want any copyright, so no music. I don't want online intervention during this video. Okay, now I'll start by explaining this pixel density feature, which how I'm going to get 1080p values. It's just a resolution scaler, so the game actually renders at a different res and either scales it down to your display res or up. If it's below 1, it scales it up from a lower res. If it's above 1, it scales it down from a higher res. So at 1.2, it's actually rendering at 1920 by 1080p and bringing it down to 900p. I'm doing it this way because I have a 900p display. And right now we're at optimal settings. And yes, temporal filtering is on, which is Ubisoft's customized checkerboard rendering. If you're using temporal filtering, I recommend having MFA on and then off in the Nvidia control panel. MFA and temporal filtering don't get along well together. It really messes up the rendering. Okay, now seeing the temporal coherence without the fix. Come on, load up already. As you can see, I thought I turned off music.
Get out!
30s.
Oh!
Already started. Another starter. Another starter. Another starter. So many starters. What a stuttering mess it is. Now after this jump, well, like,
I can be a witness.
to what? A guy falling? He said he can be a witness. What?
I'm a smart guy, but I don't get it.
Now we're in the 50s, jumping around from 30s to 50s, stuttering so much. That's what causes a stutter. When the frame rate varies all over the place, like varying by 20 in just a second. If it gradually decreases, still looks smooth but getting slower somewhat. But if it's jumping all over the place, you get stutters. That's the issue with this game. The most annoying issue. The next most annoying thing is this 34. I really wouldn't call this playable. So, closing the game. What the hell did you do, Windows 10? Don't tell me you messed with my recording. Oh, annoying. By Microsoft. Another annoying feature. Okay, now there are two steps to fixing the stutter. First step is you go to manage 3D setting under program settings. If Watchdogs isn't here or are not here added, click on browse, find the exe, add it, and then by default this is usually at use 3D application setting. Now what this essentially does is setting this to 4 essentially does is increasing this value can result in a smoother gameplay at lower frame rates. It's just adjusting how the frame buffer works between the CPU and GPU. So increasing this value results in smoother gameplay at lower frame rates. What this means is it'll improve your minimum frame rates at the expense of average and peak frame rates. So instead of your maximum being 55, 57, it'll be brought down to 50, and instead of your minimum being 32, 27, it'll be brought up to 42. So 42 to 50. It's the varying region is reduced. It's varying by 8 frames from 40 to 50 instead of 20 from 32 to 50. So that's how it gets rid of the stuttering. That's just one step. There's another step. That's an in-game setting, which I'll show. Obviously. Now for the second step, open the game, and there are two things that you have to really closely observe, even if you're on a high-end system. These are two things you have to observe, because this game is a trash port. Setting max pre-rendered rendered frames to 4 or 8 if it's available depending on your graphics card. Mine only allows up to 4, so I set it to 4. Okay, now here's the second step. Do not leave the monitor refresh rate at auto unless you're on a G-Sync or a FreeSync display, with maybe the exception. I can't test that out because I don't have a G-Sync or FreeSync display. If you're on an unbuilt display like me, set this to a value 60 or 75 depending on your monitor, or 74. FreeSync, okay, we'll talk about later in the graphics settings guide. Now for the performance fix, this is the second step. Do not leave the monitor refresh rate at all. The third step is the broken experimental setting in the quality extra details. Do not touch this. Leave it at 0%. This is meant for future generation systems. Do not touch this unless you're on a monster of a system with a 12 core 24 thread threadripper or a GTX 2080 RTX 2080 Ti or Volta or Titan XP, do not touch this. Leave it at 0%. It's not meant for the consumers, present consumers. Maybe 5 years later you can max that out. 5 years later from now, that is 5 years later from 2018, so 2023, and this game was released in 2016. And this is what they mean by future proof. How annoying. Damn you, Ubisoft. Mess with the average users. Seriously? Okay, now we should see far less stuttering. It should be varying in a small range, like 5 frames. In rare cases, higher, because it's a trash port. It's a terrible port, but it should be much smoother and playable. From a stuttering mess to a playable game. 36, 37. Nice. If it's still not playable, it's just a matter of tweaking the graphics settings. That is the performance fix. If you're on a 6th gen R or 7th gen i7 448 thread one, or if you're on a 6 core from the 4th gen i7, or if you're on a i5 1600 6 core 12 thread, or if you're on an i5 8600, what I just did should be enough. Adjusting the maximum 300 frames and setting a refresh rate, that should be enough. Now frame rate's dipping because the GPU is being overly taxed. So yeah, there are some settings that I need to adjust. So I guess even Nvidia was trying for 30 FPS. Probably because ubisoft told them to. Even at optimal settings, they're targeting 30. I wonder what they mean by optimal one. They keep advertising it as one click 60 FPS experience. It's nowhere near that. Okay. So now it's just a matter of adjusting the settings. Okay, that's it for the performance fix, guys. Those who are looking for a quick performance fix, now it's a settings guide. Another way to reduce load on CPUs, frame limited. Turning on VSync locks it to the refresh rate to locks the 60 FPS limit. It's a custom lock. Since around a 60 Hz display, I'm locking it to 60. As you saw, we aren't even achieving 60, so this FPS limit won't do much. So the first setting, geometry. This is the most CPU taxing setting in this game, other than extra details of course, which is experimental. If you're on an, as I said, 6 core system or a 6th or 7th gen i7, you can leave it at very high or ultra. If you're like me with a mid-end system, low or medium is your best bet. I'm gonna try low. I want the frames. Okay, terrain, vegetation, these don't impact much. If you are on a weaker GPU like a GTX 1050 or a 950 or 960, I suggest putting this at high. But on a 1060, these two don't mean much. Well, 2 or 3 frames is what you're getting at. Texture resolution, as you're adjusting this, just mind the VRAM on the top right. The current VRAM is usage is 3.5 to 6, so no problem. Texture filtering doesn't have much impact on CPU or GPU, so you can leave it at ultra. Shadows, well, with a GTX 1060 or a 970 or a 980 or a 1070 and above, you can max this out. It's pretty much your preference. It's GPU taxing, pretty GPU taxing, but for these kind of GPUs it should be. If you're on GTX 1050 or a 950 or 960, high or medium is your best bet. I'm keeping it high because I don't want it ultra. It's just not worth it. Headlight shadows, not worth it to me. That's a subjective opinion. Headlight shadows, your car, 2 cars, Dividing it to 3 or 4 puts a much heavier load on both GPU and CPU. I'm living in that your car. Water and reflections, the same as terrain vegetation. A mediocre impact. Screen-based reflection. This is another heavy GPU taxing feature. It heavily taxes the GPU. According to a popular YouTube channel, Digital Foundry, on consoles, PS4, PS4 Pro, Xbox One, Xbox One X, screen-based reflections are completely stripped out, absent. If you're playing on consoles, then you don't have this. At the time, they did a performance on a GTX 1060 and RX 480 paired up with an i7 8700K, and they saw a difference of 20 FPS from bring it down to high to off. But at that time, there was no medium setting. Medium setting was later introduced in a patch, so I'm keeping it medium. And particles on sensors were as a taxing feature. Maybe if you're on a 1070 or a 980. Okay, depth of field, personal preference. Even at 1050, I recommend keeping this on, but that's subjective, your choice. Ambient occlusion, yeah, sequential increase. You're getting 2 to 3 frames per decreasing it, so I'm limiting it HBO plus. Temporal filtering, I don't like it, so I'm turning it off. But yes, turning it on improves the performance a lot. Multi-sampling anti-sync, try it later because I reduce the shadows so for the sake that I can apply multi-sampling anti-aliasing later in the settings guide. SMA, if you're on GTX 1050 or a 950 or a 960, leaving it at SMA or FXA is your best point. So if you want and you don't care about a few frames, SMA T2X, which is only available when temporal filtering is off. See, SMA is highest. Off, SMA T2X. Leaving it at SMA. And yeah. Okay. If you're an i3, don't even bother with geometry, keep it at low. Okay. Suppose you're a budget end user, ultra low end, just put everything to low. No choice. If you're on a GT series card like a GT 940 or a GT 710 or GT 730 or GT 840, if you're on a GT, you probably won't find this game playable. Even with that, you need at least a GTX 750 Ti to play this game at low. So on laptop, I guess that's a GTX 860, and 750 Ti isn't really available on laptops. So if you're on GTX 750 Ti, custom, but yeah, the taxing features must be at low, while these mediocre features you can put at a high. Okay, now let's see how it runs. Can we achieve 60 now on an R5 1400 with a GTX 1060 and 16 gigs of RAM? Okay, we're on a bridge, not so taxing space. The GPU is at 97. PC, you know what? Let's benchmark this. F10. Starting the benchmark. Okay. From a non-taxing region to a taxing region, we'll play it that way. Let's see. We're getting log 60 because we're in a region where, on a place where there's not much load as compared to the city where there are NPCs or vehicles. Going. Come on. Out of the way, you. Out of the way. Out of the way. And that's fun. And as we enter the city, we are entering the 40s. This wouldn't be happening if I lowered the settings and if I was on an R516. We need 6 cores for this game. Okay. What? Why did it crash? What was there to crash? Dude, I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at the OST. It's still jumping around a lot because my R5 1400 isn't enough. But it's definitely much better thanks to the performance fix. Which is just putting the maximum 300 frames to core and making sure refresh rate is not set to up. Okay, let's say that's enough for a 1080p benchmark. Ah, fish, why? Where's the cancel, huh? Alright, guess that's enough. Okay, let's see the values for 1080p. I'm gonna show it raw, yes. I'm not gonna put a graph. I'm the average user. I got other things. Sorry, guys. Okay, show me the values. 53, 40, 60. We touched the 60. So varying from 40 to 53 most of the time, I'd say that was better than how we started out. Okay, Arc 60 impossible unless you have a really good CPU like the ones I mentioned, like an i5 8600 or an i7 6700 or R5 1600. So let's try 45. That should give a more. So reduce the range, make it more smooth, reduce the load on the CPU. Let's just benchmark this. Put some load on the CPU, some particles, send some objects flying. Okay, varying only in range of 5 frames from 40 to 45. Okay, I guess that's enough for 45 FPS benchmark. I'd say that was barely satisfactory. Let's see the values. Barely satisfactory. $43, $38. Well, I didn't see $38. I mostly saw from 40 to 45, so barely acceptable. A bit more consistent. Okay, now we're going to try something for the budget users. We're on a GTX 1050. If you want to get really high settings and get rid of the jaggies, lock it down to 30. That's your best bet. Let's bring it down to 900p while we're at it. This is what I prefer, subjective. Ultra preset, leaving geometry at ultra, yes, but since we're locking at 30, that shouldn't be a problem. Shadows down to high because I want TXA. I want TXA with SME. If you're on GTX 1050 Ti, I recommend TXA 2 off and SMA T2X. But you can tweak it around and try reduce other stuff. I wouldn't say ultra preset, I'd say high preset for a GTX 1050 Ti or 1050 or 950 or 960. The high preset with SMA T2X. Now we're at gorgeous settings with lock 30. No jaggies. I really do hate jaggies. In a third person open game. Damn you, Ubisoft, you don't give a damn about 60 FPS no matter how much PC gamers demand it. At this point, everybody hates you for that. the city and they're getting locked 30. CPU usage hovering in 60 to 70. GPU usage 70 to 90. If we move to some place with high vegetation, it should get taxed because of the shadows and vegetation and the anti-aliasing. So we're pretty much using a system at its best. Well, best quality anyway. I wouldn't say this is the most responsive, but this is probably what's feasible to most. Lock 30. Since the game devs don't care about PC and they only port it for 30 FPS on consoles. Given the fact that at least we can enjoy high settings since the consoles are so weak, they don't even have screen space reflections. Okay, I'd say that's pretty much locked. No need for a benchmark. Locked most of the time. Pretty damn good. Alright, that's it guys. Thanks for watching.